Hello everyone, my name's Sammy and welcome to my channel. With today's practice, we're going to be moving through some poses that will help open up through the hips. So if you're feeling particularly tight there through the hips and the lower back, particularly if you've been sitting for a while, this might feel really nice just to get some movement through there. As always, we want to listen to our body and how it's feeling today. So we will be holding some of the poses for around 4 to 5 breaths. If you need to come out of those poses a little earlier, that's totally okay. Grab some props too. So I'm sitting actually on a rolled up blanket just to help ease the tightness in my hips. Okay, I find I struggle to sit flat on the floor. So popping the hips up, the pelvis up can help, just ease that a little bit. Yeah, and we're also going to be on our knees for a little bit. So maybe if you've got sensitive knees, grab something to pop under the knees, a towel, blanket, a flat cushion. Okay. Um, a block if you want to use it. These are all optional. It's totally up to you. You don't have to have props, but if you do want to use some solid support and you don't have blocks, something like a book or anything sturdy that will help give you height and support. And then lastly, something that we can use for our leg stretches towards the end. So I'm using a yoga strap, but if you don't have one of these, do not stress. Things you could use is like a robe belt or a luggage strap or anything with a bit of length on it, even like a long piece of fabric or something that's quite strong that's not going to break on you. Something elastic's probably not going to work. So you could give it a go if it's a thick resistance, but you want something that's got no elastic really in it. So anyway, that's towards the end of our practice. Yeah, so we're going to begin our yoga practice with doing a very little bit of mobility just to get the joints and muscles warmed up. If you've already feel like you're ready to go, you can fast forward past this part and just get straight into those poses. All right, so let's just hit the pause and take a moment just to notice how we're feeling today. And get a sense of connection to our body, to our breath, to our mind. So, just sitting comfortably. You might like to bring the hand to your heart and your belly and feel the breath move through your body. That effortless breath, we're not forcing or trying. Just taking a moment to be fully present and acknowledging any thoughts or feelings that may be drifting through your mind. It's perfectly normal. And know that your breath is your anchor. So if you find that your thoughts are distracting you through your practice, acknowledge these thoughts and just come back to the breath. I know this can be easier said than done, but all we can do is try. Taking a few more breaths here. This moment of self-awareness. And then when you're ready, we're going to move our bodies. So like I said, we're just going to mobilize for a little bit. So we'll start from just some little, I don't know what you'd call them, semicircles, smiley face shapes as we sweep the chin from one side of our shoulder to the other. We can take this opportunity to do a little body scan here. Notice where we feel the tightness as well, any tension. Okay, let's take that chin all the way up over the top. So we're making kind of a rainbow shape, guiding our chin over from one shoulder to the other. And then bring the head forward. We can do some head turns here, just a couple each side. And a few nods. Yes, I'm looking forward to this practice. All right, so let's move on to the shoulders. Actually, let's bring the hands out in front and we can give our elbows a little bit of a warm up here as we tap the fingertips to our shoulders. On the last one, hold it up. We're going to draw the elbows in front and then sweep them behind us. So you may like to take a nice big breath in as you draw the elbows behind you and then exhale the breath as you bring the elbows in front. One more. Let's reverse the circles, breathing in and letting it go. Lovely. Coming to the front here, we'll push the palms in front, really stretch them, and then relax the shoulders and the elbows, some wrist circles. because we will be on our hands and knees, so it's good to warm them up, even connecting them together. Do a couple of these. Nice, and then maybe opening and shutting the fingers. Lovely. Let's get some movements of the trunk. So, just sort of bending from side to side. Move my feet here. Making sure that we're sitting in a comfortable seat. Some gentle sideways movements of the spine. Let's add a twist after this one. And nice. And then a few seated cat-cows. Lovely. And then I'm going to pop off my rug. Nice. And then, we'll do a couple of hip movements here. So just windshield wipering, doing a few of these, getting the hip joints primed up. And then pick up a leg. We can bend and straighten, maybe add some circling if that feels good. And then some ankle movement and then wiggly toes. Let's do the other side. Adding any knee movement, whatever direction feels good. And then ankles and toes. Lovely. All right, so we're going to come onto our hands and knees now. All right, so I'll pop my blocks over here because I'll probably need them when we go to do our low lunge. All right, so let's set up. We've got hands under shoulders, knees under hips, and we've got this lovely long line from tailbone to the nape of our neck. Okay, maybe gently drawing the lower part of our belly towards the spine. We can push through the thumbs and the fingertips. Nice, strong, sturdy position in hands and knees. On our next exhale, we're going to tuck the chin and the hips as we draw the spine to the ceiling, coming into cat. Really feeling the length of our spine. And then coming into our cow. Dip the belly, bring the heart space through the upper arms and then lift the tailbone. All right, so we can use the breath to guide us if you want to come along with me and do that. So we can exhale to tuck, chin and tailbone, and then inhale as we come into that cow. Exhale into cat. And inhale into cow. Let's get a little bit more movement happening with this. On the exhale into cat, let's sweep the hips slightly behind the knees and then soften the elbows as we inhale and bring the chest through the upper arms, coming into cow. Kind of creating a wave here. Exhale into cat. Inhale into cow. Exhale and inhale. Beautiful. Coming back to stillness, setting back into your tabletop. We'll add some rotations of the spine, just priming up the muscles in our back, in our tummies, in our chest. Inhale, opening up. So we're lifting up the left hand here. And exhale, tuck and reach. Keeping the hips high over the knees. Inhale, open. And exhale, opening up through the shoulder blades. Last one of these. Inhale, opening up through the heart space. And then exhale as we tuck and reach to open up the upper middle back. Coming back to your tabletop. Let's do the same on the other side. So resetting, knees under those hips. That's going to help with our steadiness. Inhale as we reach up with the right hand, opening up the heart. Exhale, tuck and reach as we open up the shoulder blade. Inhale, opening through the heart, the chest. Exhale, closing through the heart, but opening up the shoulder blade. Inhale, last one. Exhale, tuck and reach. Lovely. All right, coming back to tabletop. So from here, we're going to come into sort of a wide-legged child's pose. So what we'll do is we'll connect the big toes, take the knees a little bit wider than the hips, bring those hips as far back as you can. So coming into child's, really, let's keep the arms active by keeping the forearms off the ground, head between the arms, stretching the fingertips to the top of the mat. Let's take 4 breaths here. Notice how the breath feels in this start of our hip opener here, as our belly's resting between our thighs. Feel the rise and fall of the back of our rib cage, our lower back. And then from here, we're going to start to walk our hands over to the right-hand side. So walking, 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 so we can open up through the left side. So we can rest the forearms on the ground, give them a bit of a break here and take 4 steady breaths. Just your natural breath. One more breath here. And then when you're ready, we can start to bring the hands back to center and then walk our hands over to the left-hand side and open up the right side of our bodies. Now, as we come into these unilateral movements or, single-sided movements, taking a few more breaths here, we might notice there's a difference in how stretchy we are on one side to the other, our strength as well, and that's really normal. Let's come back to center. Bring the hands back under the shoulders. Come back into tabletop. All right, so we're going to be on our knees for a little bit, so grab any padding that you may need. Our next pose is going to be low lunge, Anjaneyasana. So we'll pick up the left foot and send it between the hands. Now, how deep you go into your hip stretch is entirely up to you, okay? So, you might find that you're fairly upright with your position here. That you're not wanting to go too deep because you already feel like you're getting a stretch here, and that's perfectly okay. So come down to a depth that you feel comfortable with. You might want to wiggle the toes forward a little bit to help with your stretch if you want something a little deeper. We'll keep the knees in line with the hips. We can uncurl the back toes and just allow the hips to sink forward and down, relax the shoulders. If you like, you might want to even add a little twist with this. So keeping the right hand on the floor and then turning towards the left. Roll the left shoulder blade down. Let's take 2 more breaths here. And then from here, we're going to come to center and then sweep the hips back as we come into a hamstring stretch. Okay, so from here, we'll keep that right hip in line with the right knee. Pull the toes towards us on the left foot, or you can flex them as well, point and flex the toes. And you might notice a little bit of a stretch through the back of the left leg. If you need to kind of wiggle that heel forward a bit, that's okay. Take a few more breaths here. Nice. And then we'll bring the heel back a little bit as we bring the weight towards our left foot again. And we're actually heel toeing the left foot out to the outside of our mat as we come into lizard pose. So we're opening up that left side of our hip a little bit more. So, you might even, if you've got your blocks, want to pop your hands on your blocks for a bit of height to allow the chest to come through. And we'll take our 4 breaths here, just gently tucking the tailbone down and softly gazing towards the top of our mat. Let's take 1 more breath here. All right, so let's start to push through the hands, sweep the hips back. We can heel toe that left foot back between our hands. And then from here, we're coming into pigeon pose, Ardha Kapotasana. So we're going to heel toe the left foot over towards the right. Give my foot a bit of assistance there. And we're going to bring the left knee behind the left wrist. Now I'm going to give you 2 options. Actually, I'll give you option A here. So it depends on how tight your hips are. You can totally set your hips back and turn this into a 90-90. So what I mean by that is that there's roughly 90 degrees angles on both the front and back knees. Okay, so have a little fiddle around, and it's okay too to prop the hips up. So if you're finding like it feels a bit clunky in the right hip, you can grab your prop here, whatever blanket, towel, whatever you're using, and pop it under your bottom. Oh, that feels much better. So you can pop it under your bottom so you feel like a bit more of you're leveled up in the hips, and then do your forward fold like you would do in pigeon pose over your left leg. Okay, so it's a great variation for, you know, super tight hips. Anyway, so I'm going to pop this out of the way. All right, so from here, where was I? Oh yes, pigeon pose. Wiggle that foot over to the right. And from here, again, we want the hips to be leveled. So if we need to grab props like blankets or bricks and pop them underneath our bottom, just so we've also got that contact between our bottom and something, whether it be a towel or block or whatever, and we're not kind of, our hips not hanging in space. And yeah, and it's up to you whether you want the back foot tucked or untucked. Sometimes my foot cramps, so I have to have it tucked up. Anyway, so we're going to fall forward, and blocks are good for this as well. Just gently ease forward, not fall forward, just ease forward. You can use your blocks for support. I'm going to rest my forehead on my block. Have a little play, see what works for you. Let's take 5 breaths here. It took a little work to get into our pigeon pose, our Ardha Kapotasana. So we might as well spend a little bit of extra time here. It's quite an intense hip opener, this one. We're not going to be here for super long. Let's take one more big breath here. And then when you're ready, bring the hands under your shoulders using arm strength. Press yourself up. You might even want to kind of come up and open up through the chest, tuck the tailbone down, a bit of a stretch through the front there before we start to ease out of this pose. And then we can lift up. Now, before we come into our Sphinx pose with a bent knee, let's bring our knees under hips and let's get some movement through the hips, because we've done quite a bit of hip stretching on the left-hand side here. So we can take a movement break. Lovely. And then when you're ready, we're going to come on down slowly to the mat. Tummy's on the mat. Bring the elbows roughly under the shoulders, or maybe even a little bit further in front. And then we'll take a bend into that left knee. The right leg stays straight behind us. And then bring the knee up towards the side of our body. Okay, so this is opening up the left side of your hip. So how far you bring your knee up is entirely up to you. So have a little bit of a wiggle around that you're able to relax that inner part of your thigh, your hip on the left-hand side. Let the arms go heavy on the ground. Maybe a very gentle tuck of the tailbone down. So let's take 4 breaths here. Not rushing. One more breath before we start to release from this pose. And then when you're ready, just slide that left leg down. We're going to take a little break here. I'm going to take my glasses off and come into our crocodile pose. So just let the body be heavy. You might want to wiggle through the legs and the hips to help just release. Notice how we feel on our left-hand side of our hip. And bring up any sensations. Do they feel good? Do they feel pretty ordinary? We do these things to our body and we just have these expectations, and sometimes when things don't work out we think we've done it wrong, but our body has its own ideas. All right, so we're going to tuck our toes, bring our hands under our shoulders, push through that mat coming into tabletop, and then we start to move on to the other side. In fact, I don't really need those, so I'm going to pop them over there. So we're going to pick up our right foot and send it between our hands as we come into that low lunge at Anjaneyasana. So like I mentioned before, have a little play with how deep you want this, whether you want to be fairly upright for it or maybe bring the feet a little bit more towards the top of your mat. You can use your props to help support you with this one as well. So we want a gentle sinking of the hips forward and down, not jamming those hips down. And if you want to, you can add a twist. So I'm going to come down on my block, maybe a little forward lean as I twist through the right hand side. So let's take 4 or 5 breaths here. Try to allow that breath to sink you deeper into the pose. We'll take one more breath here. And then coming to center, we'll push the hips back as we come into our half splits, Ardha Hanumanasana. So we want to keep the left knee in line with the left hip. So try not to kind of sink into that left-hand side. We can pull up the big toe on the right. If you want to bring that ankle through on the right forward a bit to allow you some space to stretch. The spine can be rounded or straight. Have a little bit of a, get curious, have a little play as to how you want your back. See if you can notice what sensations come up with you for the back of your right leg. I feel a nice big stretch there, but that might be totally different for you. One more breath. And then we're going to plant that right foot, bring the heel back a bit as we come into lizard pose. So we can heel toe the foot off the mat, the right foot, and then this will allow us maybe to sink a little deeper into this. Again, add your props if you want that extra support. They're the tools of the trade, our props, when it comes to yoga. Let's take 3 more beautiful breaths here. Just a gentle tug of the tailbone down. Nothing crazy. And then when you're ready, we can start to press the hips back. And then we're coming into our pigeon pose, Kapotasana, pardon me. All right, so we're kind of inchworming our right foot over to the left. Bring that right knee behind the right wrist. And again, you've got that variation of coming into your 90-90s, sitting the hips down, adding your props under your seat to help to level up the hips. When you've chosen your variation and you're settled into your pose, we're going to start to ease ourselves down to a forward fold as much as you feel that your body needs today. Add any props for support. Now, this is one of these poses where I feel super bendy on my right side and super tight on my left. So I feel I can get quite low without props when I have my right knee as the leading part of my pigeon pose. But when it's the other side, I just feel super uncomfortable. So, that's really normal. Taking one more beautiful breath here. Deep and long. And then we can start to bring the hands under the shoulders. Ease that right leg back. Oh, okay. And then let's take a movement break. We can add some circling, push the hips out the side, out the back, out the front, change direction, whatever feels good. And then when you're ready, we can start to slowly lower down, slowly. All right, and then from here, we're coming into our Sphinx pose on the right side. So we'll take a bend into the right knee and start to kind of bring it up the side as much as you want to. Give yourself adjustment time to open up through that hip. If you're finding this is a little bit too much for the lower back, try bring the elbows forward a bit too. Have a bit more of your tummy on the mat. Okay. Try to relax the inside of our legs, our feet. We can let the neck sink a little bit into the shoulders. Let's take one more breath here. And then when you're ready, we'll start to slide that right leg all the way out the back. We can, again, just take a little break here, bring the head on top of the stacked back of our arms, have a little wiggle of the hips. You might even want to bend the knees and kind of do a bit of windshield wiper with the feet. Well, that feels quite nice, actually. All right, come to stillness. Okay, so we're coming into happy baby pose, and seeing I'm lying down, I'm just going to roll over. Grab any props, have them close and handy. Now this is where you will need your strap towards the end of these series of poses. Okay, so I'm going to have it nice and handy here. All right, even have your block handy, because I'm going to show you a variation of a supported, my mat's kind of sliding around, a supported bridge, okay, that you might like to try. Right. For now, we're happy babying, and we're going to do it one side at a time. So let's start with the left leg. So from here, we'll keep the right knee bent, and we'll pick up the left foot off the ground, grab the shin or the ankle or the big toe, and we're just going to do a single-sided happy baby to begin with, okay? Now that right knee, we can just let it loll out the side and bring our right arm out the side as well, just to help anchor us, okay? So let's take 3 big, beautiful breaths here. So the ankles, stacked over the shins. We're going to relax the whole back of our body, from the back of our head, the shoulders, the length of our spine to our tailbone onto the mat. And then we're going to release that left foot and do the same on the right. So pick up the right foot. You can use peace fingers to hold onto the big toe if you want that as an option. Keep the left knee bent, let it hang out the side. Take the left hand out to the side. Allow the shoulders to just gently melt into the mat, along with the muscles in your back, your bottom, the back of your head. Lovely. And then we're going to come into full happy baby. So picking up both feet and hang on to whatever feels accessible for you today. So it's totally okay to pardon me, hang on to the back of your thighs, your ankles, the bottom of your feet. I kind of like the sensation of just going back to thinking what I would do if I was a baby, and they don't think about what they're going to do when they're coming into this position. So just grab anything. See if you can relax those shoulders down from the ears. You might even want to add a rock to this, just rocking from side to side. There's no rule to say you have to stay still. You might even want to straighten the legs out now and then. I kind of like this one pose, Ananda Balasana. It's a fun pose, for me anyway. All right, one more beautiful breath here. All right, then we're going to bend the knees, lower down. Let's do a few windshield wipers as a bit of a movement break. And then from here, we're coming into bridge pose. So we can let the arms relax by our side, have the feet fairly close to the bottom, heels, knees, and hips roughly in alignment. And then from here, we're going to peel the spine off the mat. So let's start with just a gentle pelvic tilt. So tilting the pelvis up, and then see if we can uncurl the spine off the mat, vertebrae by vertebrae. So keep breathing your breath, hugging the knees towards each other. Spread the toes, and even try pushing into the big toes. Sometimes when we do this, we have a tendency to push on the outside of our feet and our knees open. So if you push through the big toes, see what it does for you. Now we're going to hold this for 5 breaths. If you want to make this more of a passive bridge, you can grab your block, books, whatever you're using, play with your levels, and then pop it underneath. It'll be the top of your bottom, not on your spine, but sort of the top of your bottom. You'll notice because it's the thicker part and you've got, well, I've got a bit of padding there. So you've got a bit of support there. So we've got this gentle opening of the hips. You might even want to roll the shoulders underneath each other a little bit. It's up to you. We can shut the eyes or soften the gaze. And let's add 4 breaths to this because it took a little bit to get into. We'll take one more breath before we start to release from this pose. Setubana Savangasana. And then when you're ready, we're going to bring some strength into our legs by pushing through the feet. That's if you've used your supported bridge. Your probably legs are firing quite a bit if there wasn't support. We'll take the block out and then let's see if we can slowly lower each part of our vertebrae onto the mat. Keep that pelvis just a little bit tilted up. Little bit, till we get to the bottom. We can uncurl the shoulders. Again, if you want to add a little bit of a movement break here, that's fine. All right, so with this one here, we're going to use our straps or whatever you're using, okay, as your thing to hold on to. All right, so the first one we'll do is we'll keep our right foot on the floor, lift our left leg off the ground. Pop our strap underneath, I don't know, I like to pop mine probably around about the arch of my foot, around about there. So it feels nice and secure and it's not gonna fall off. So let's start with a hammy stretch first. We can gently bring a gentle pull to the strap. If you've got a really long strap, see if you can allow the elbows to rest on the mat. So try and make this as passive as we can for the upper body. So we can have as much of a bend in that left knee as you need, particularly if you've got tight hamstrings. Maybe pull the left toes down towards you. And let's take 4 beautiful breaths here. If you want a little bit more intensity for your last few breaths, you can straighten out that right leg. And then from here, we'll ease off our stretch. We're going to put the straps into our left hand. I'm just going to wiggle my hips over to the side of the mat a bit more. And then we'll bring the left elbow away from the body a little bit and bring the left leg out to the left-hand side. So we're opening up the inside of our left thigh, our left hip. So we'll think about pressing the back of the right leg into the ground, into the mat, and pulling the right big toes up. We can even extend out the right arm and keep that right shoulder blade rolled down and into the floor. So that's our anchor, okay? So this can be quite an intense stretch for the inner thighs, particularly if they're tight. So just go nice and slowly with this. You can gently pull that strap up so you're drawing the foot towards the top of your mat, but take your time. We don't want to rush this. I think we've gone a little bit extra than 4 breaths, but that's okay. We'll take 2 more breaths here. These sort of poses take a little bit to get into, so it's okay to add extra breathing time here. We don't want to be in a hurry with our stretches. So when you're ready, ease off your stretch, start to pull on the strap, bring it up to center, and then we're going to change the strap from our left hand to our right hand. I'm going to kind of scooch my bottom over to the side, extend your left arm so your left shoulder's got some anchorage, and then we'll sweep the left foot over to the right, okay? Now, this isn't much of a stretch for the hips in a way that we're not opening, but you may notice a bit of lengthening through the back of the legs. And the hips are supported by all these really big muscles. So why not stretch around those hip joints, get deep into the belly of the muscle. Notice where you feel this stretch. I can feel it right to the bottom of my feet. So that right leg's still anchored down into the ground, probably without as much intensity, but I can still feel it quite heavy on the floor. And then when you're ready, we'll start to pull on that band, come back to center. Now, before we put that left leg down, we can kind of grab the knee, maybe do some hip circles here, just to loosen things off after our stretches. And then pop that foot down. And we'll just keep it bent for the moment. We'll pick up our right leg and do the same here. So grab the strap. Okay, so we've got our hamstring stretch first. So again, just allow the elbows to relax. Allow the whole upper body to be as passive as we can. Work out whether you're going to have a bent left knee or maybe like to straighten it out. Take as much of a bend in that right knee as you need. Just gently pulling that right big toe towards us. Let's take a few more breaths here. And then when you're ready, we're going to put the straps into our right hand, extend the left arm away from the body to act as our anchor. So I might scooch my bottom over a little bit and open up through the inside of our right. So you'll need to just bring the right elbow a little bit away from your body. You can just rest that elbow on the ground. Gently draw that strap so your foot's coming up to the top of the mat. Do take your time with this. The inside of our thigh, the muscles there are quite sensitive. And we're thinking about anchoring down through that left leg. So the calf, the hamstring, we're allowing that to kind of melt into the mat and pull up the toes on the left foot. Let's take a few more breaths here in our adductor stretch. And then when you're ready, start to ease that stretch off, come back to center, and then we get to take the straps into our left hand and sweep the foot over to the left-hand side, and we'll extend the right arm, anchor down the right shoulder blade. Might like to look the opposite direction of your right foot. Get a bit of a stretch for the neck. Beautiful, taking one more breath here. And then coming back to center, ease it on up and take a bend into that right knee. Before you pop the foot down, let's take a few circles here. Lovely, let's come to center. We can release ourselves from the strap. Even do a few windshield wipers if that feels nice. And then we're going to come into our last pose. So this one is a variation of a spinal twist, and we're going to need some head support for this. So whether you're using your bricks or a bolster, a cushion or rolled up mat, whatever you're using. So what you're going to do is roll over to your left-hand side. We'll start this side so you can see what I'm doing. Then back off again. And then from here, I've got the brick underneath my head. Now, when I go to rotate, I want to make sure that my whole head's supported. So I'm going to put the edge of this brick kind of roughly in line with my cheek. Extend your left arm and pop your right arm on top. And our heel, hip, and head is roughly in alignment. Okay, so we're going to keep the bottom half of our body stuck together. The left leg stuck to the ground, legs stuck together. And then when we're ready, we're going to pick up that right hand, follow the right hand with our gaze and open up, but still keep that left leg glued to the floor. So we're opening up through the right side of our chest. Okay. Now you can, if this feels really uncomfortable for your right shoulder, like it's quite tight and you've got a spare blanket or brick handy, you can pop the back of your hand on there, or even bend your elbow and pop your hand on your hip. So I'm just going to adjust a few things here. And then from here, we're going to sweep up, connect hand to hand, roll over onto the other side. Do my adjusting here. Extend the right arm, pop the left hand on top, heels, hip and head in alignment. Keep the legs glued to each other in the ground. And we're going to pick up the left hand, follow it with my eyes, over to the other side. I'm quite open on this side. Got a good flexibility on this side of my shoulder, my left. So I'm just going to hang here. Let's take one breath, one big breath before we start to move out of this pose. And then when you're ready, start to ease the left hand off the ground all the way over. We can remove our brick or whatever we've got our head on, come back. Again, you can add some windshield wipers here. And then coming to stillness, and we're going to finish our practice in Shavasana. So an option for Shavasana, if you wanted to do a little bit more hip opening, remember we want this to be passive. We do not want it to be with any effort. We want it to be effortless. So if this doesn't feel great, just come into a position that feels comfortable. You can bring the inside of your feet together, knees out wide. Let your arms be just where they want to be. But again, if your hips have had enough stretching, just come into a position that feels good. Let's just take some time out here. Allow those poses to land. Take our awareness inward. See if we can feel a little bit of an opening up through the hips. Allow the breath to flow freely. And enjoy some time in stillness. when you're ready, gently start to introduce some movements back into the body. You might like to wiggle toes, maybe a stretch, maybe a roll and squeeze, whatever feels good. Rolling, bending your knees, rolling over to one side and using your arm strength to press up to sitting, coming into a comfortable sitting position. All right, if you'd like to join me as we come to the close of our class by bringing our hands to the heart space with a gentle bow and give gratitude to our amazing bodies for moving and for being still today, for our breaths for nourishing us, and for our minds for guiding and supporting us. Thank you so much for sharing today's practice with me, and the light in me honors the light in you. Namaste. Thank you for sharing this I hope, pardon me, can't get my words out here. Thank you for sharing this hip opening practice with me. It's been really lovely to share this with you. So if you've enjoyed today's practice, you can subscribe, like, share, do all that YouTube stuff. Otherwise, have a great day or evening whenever you're doing this, and I'll see you next time.